Hey everybody, this is Perch. Obviously, this is a breaking and evolving story, but I wanted to now pause for a moment, or took a pause, and now have some more information to convey. Kind of what you should look out for. This is aimed at kind of the customers, the people who are coming in, buying comics, maybe want to see more comics. What can you expect out of this news that Marvel has signed with Penguin Random House Publisher Services? That does not roll off the tongue, and are leaving Diamond. So what's going to happen? Well. First off, as the news is trickling out, there were rumors and a lot of talk that this was coming in weeks past. I believed, and I mean, if you've been listening to my videos about predictions, I've been saying this is coming, or that something along these lines was very, very likely. I am surprised it's happening this soon, although technically it's happening in October, so it's a little bit further out. But I have several videos. In fact, I have some prediction videos that I have not processed yet, talking about what to expect in 2021 that are kind of funny now because it talks around this topic. I'm trying not to necessarily reveal sources or anything else, but it talked around this likely scenario and what to look out for and why, watching Diamond and what happens and their stability is a big deal. But one other piece of news to kind of convey is, before we go into a lot of your questions, and kind of trying to suss out what all this means. Dan Buckley sends a note to retailers, basically saying, to explain what he's done. And the bullet points here are that we are confident, writes Dan Buckley, that this new partnership with Penguin Random House Publisher Services will create more strategic opportunities for your business, grow the direct market, and bring you more flexibility, reliability, and efficiency in ordering Marvel books. The biggest of these are, of course, the flexibility. Penguin Random House has a modern website and way of ordering comics. It's a little bit easier to track month over month what you're doing and track your orders, and you got a little bit more technology there to kind of understand what's going on. People who are new to that system will be surprised at some of the benefits that you get from what they had before. Shipping is free, so that's a major benefit, I think, to retailers of what they have there. And the other one that I think retailers are going to have to absorb over time is that the grow the direct market means that comics are going to be sent to places more than just the comic shops that exist today. I will also say on both ends, both as a receiver or as a publisher, it is dramatically easier to get an account with Penguin Random House. I'll be open. I have an account with Penguin Random House that has been established on both ends, both to publish and to receive. It was very easy to do both. It's going to make it. It's just there's less, for lack of a better word, there's less gatekeeping and less weirdness around creating an account. If you're a publisher, there's less hoops you have to jump through. It operates more like creating an Amazon affiliate program. It's more click and play and much less having to kind of suck up to somebody and hope that you get in there. It's much easier. Marvel, Dan Buckley does go on to say that there's going to be a session over the next few weeks to explain what all these changes will mean. It does mean that there's some time. October 1st is a bit. So, and Marvel was clear to say, we look forward to continuing our relationship with Diamond in other areas. What that means, nobody knows, but I would say that Penguin Random House has a more stable foundation to it. There's less financial cash concerns, and it's more likely that it's going to work. Now, as some people have already pointed out, Diamond did have deep discounts. Will those discounts exist for Penguin Random House? The answer is yes, but probably not at the same level. If you are a really big comic shop, if you're like a Midtown or a Mile High or somebody like that, your break is probably not going to be as good. I may be wrong about that. Their volumes are strong, but it's some of these grandfathered in deals may go away. That may be a negative. And that will cut both ways. It'll cut for publishers as well. I do think that this is going to be different. On top of this, I think that I mentioned this previous video. you're going to see comics pop up in other places. If the publisher is smart, if Marvel is clever about this, they will use this as an opportunity to get people who are maybe picking up a title that is brought into a grocery store or a bookstore, and they'll route these people to subscription services. I do expect Marvel to ramp up a lot of their Marvel Unlimited stuff. Unfortunately, as a negative, I would be surprised if Marvel suddenly got better about promoting the direct market and the comic shops. They have been piss poor at it, and I doubt much will change. But you never know. I do think that you are going to see more titles like King in Black and other big events. Probably, Heroes Reborn. Obviously, those are older events. But I'm saying in the future, when there are these things, I think you're going to see more advertisements for their own services, more advertisements for where to get more comics and where the location you're currently buying, the thing you have in your hand is from. I also expect digests to come into play. Penguin Random House has had some success going into grocery stores and other locations where digests are a good format that works by registers and other things. So I would be very surprised if Marvel doesn't have that up their sleeve as coming soon. Again, it can be used as a teaser. You put some books in there, you put some, a couple stories there that then are going to promote where else you can go get more comics, whether it's your local comic shop or or the online service. A couple additional pieces here. One thing that's worth pointing out is that Penguin Random House is a bigger, stronger, more powerful player. They will not allow Marvel to completely do goofy shenanigans. Marvel is now entering into a territory where they will not be the number one piece of content, or likely in the top 10 of what Penguin Random House produces. They have an established business, so they're not going to allow Marvel to just run rampant over them like Diamond frankly did. Marvel got away with a lot of nonsense that they were the number one supplier to Diamond, so they could. That is not going to be the case with Penguin Random House. They're going to have to play a little bit more by the rules. Penguin Random House as well they are brutal with deadlines. As a couple of people have noted, and I've seen firsthand, they will not be tolerant over comics randomly shipping out and other things on a regular basis. They're going to enforce a more predictable shipping schedule. I think that's very positive. As we've seen from Marvel in particular, especially in their X line, there is very little consistency with how all this stuff works. Now, the negatives here, obviously, if you're a small publisher and you fought and in some cases paid to get a relationship going with Diamond, and maybe Diamond owes you money as well, this is bad news for you, because all the comic shops, whether they want to or not, they can whine about it, but they are going to move to have a direct deal with Penguin Random House. They're not going to just pay extra shipping out of loyalty to Steve Geppi. That's not going to happen. So I do expect Geppi to have to start to offer free shipping if he wants to survive here. That's just going to have to be something that comes out of this. But if you're a small publisher right now, you need to be getting over to one of these other sources. Whether what DC did or what Marvel did, you're going to have to get there. It's going to be crazy if not. It's like I say, it's going to change things. Now, some people have asked questions. Oh, does this mean Marvel's going to start putting out better books? No, that has nothing to do with anything. Marvel is likely to change what they ship a little bit, because they're going to have different places the comics can go to. And I think part of the niche kind of view of direct market is going to change. I will say that I am very confident that this decision to go to Penguin Random House was driven by people higher up than Dan Buckley. I would be absolutely certain that Disney had a hand in this. Disney does use Penguin Random House heavily for other things, and I am 100% certain that there was pressure put on Buckley and others to say, why are you using a completely different system than the rest of us at Disney are using? That's stupid. I'm sure that is the case. So, I think that it's showing that Disney is wanting to move this more into a business. That does not mean that suddenly, that somebody's going to come riding into the Disney halls and say, all right, all these more social geared comics go away now. We're focusing on business. No, I don't think that at all. However, I will say that if you are, I've said the word I will say many times now, you're not going to have, titles selling 5,000, 6,000 copies through this system. It's going to be more apparent that they're failing. It's going to be more apparent that those things are not taking. So I think you're going to get a little bit more aggressive with cancellation, and I think you're going to see more of people trying to steer to what will appeal to the mainstream. I think that a lot of, I do think the absolute hypocrisy of a lot of comic creators today who, everybody I see Heather Antos cheering this on as an example. So these same people were basically calling for DC to be shot in the head when they did a similar move a year ago. So seeing now massive celebration, it's, to put a fine point on it, that's bullshit. I think, fair has to be fair. You got to keep things consistent, and this sudden change of heart is just, I don't know. I think that's pretty gross. If you hated the DC move, then you should hate this move. If you're talking about how this will end the comic industry and nothing will ever be the same again, that's crap. So I don't know. I see a lot of hypocrisy out there. I also think that there are a lot of people who are somehow of the mind that this means they're going to have a better relationship with Penguin Random House and be able to move maybe up out of comics to something else. I think those people are in for a very rude awakening as they realize the deadlines and the strictness that will come of this relationship. It is the kind of silliness that would exist in a mom and pop organization goes away when you have this kind of corporate involvement. That's going to change. But again, nobody should be celebrating like this, like all the people that annoyed them out of Marvel are suddenly going to lose their jobs and Marvel's going to start publishing comics like they did in the 80s. That's not happening. And it's definitely not going to be a quick process. It's going to be slow. You're going to see slow changes. With a bigger market to sell into, it does mean that there's going to be more scrutiny into what can sell into that big market. And so you're going to see some changes. Some of those may be good. You may get rid of some of the silly nonsense that appeals to nobody, but some of it may be bad in the sense that these comics are more likely going to align with the MCU and what's going on in bigger areas. And that may not be great for people who don't want to see those things happening. That's the world we're living in now. But keep asking your questions. I'll answer them as I come in. Obviously, a big breaking news. This is the biggest story we're going to get this month. It's only a few days left in March, but I'm confident it is. Very curious to see how the smaller publishers react. Hopefully, most of them are at this very second getting their account set up so they can follow suit. That's what you're going to need to be. You don't want to be sitting there as a diamond exclusive. With when all the comic shops are going to move away from you. So I worry about those guys. I think it's going to flush out some of the smaller publishers in this process, which many of them were teetering already. A lot of stories about the smaller publishers not paying people and other cash problems. So that's no good. But anyway, let me know your questions below. Like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.